Hello everyone, and welcome to Learn and Success. I'm David, and today we're diving into some useful English phrases and vocabulary related to evening and bedtime routines.
Hi there. I'm Sarah. We're so glad you've joined us today. Having a consistent evening routine is not only beneficial for your health, but also a great opportunity to practice everyday English expressions.
Absolutely, Sarah. Let's start by talking about those transitional phrases that signal the end of our workday. For many people, this begins with the phrase, calling it a day. For example, it's 6 p.m., I think I'll call it a day at work.
That's a common one, David. Another similar expression is wrapping up, as in, I'm wrapping up my work for the day. When you're leaving the office, you might tell colleagues, I'm heading out, or I'm off now.
And don't forget, I'm clocking out if you work somewhere with a time clock. Now, Sarah, once people get home, they often talk about unwinding or decompressing. Could you explain what those mean?
Of course. Unwinding means relaxing after a busy or stressful day. You might say, I need to unwind with a good book. Decompressing is similar. It's about releasing stress and tension. For example, after a long day, I decompress by taking a walk.
Those are such useful phrases. Now, let's move into the kitchen. Many people prepare dinner as part of their evening routine. Some common phrases include whipping up dinner or throwing together a meal.
I love those casual cooking expressions. Whipping up suggests preparing something quickly and easily. You might say, I'm just whipping up some pasta for dinner. And throwing together is even more casual, like I'm throwing together a quick salad.
After dinner, many people talk about cleaning up. This could involve doing the dishes, loading the dishwasher, or wiping down the counters.
And don't forget tidying up, which means making an area neat and organized. For instance, I always tidy up the living room before bedtime.
Now let's talk about evening leisure activities. Many people enjoy catching up on their favorite TV shows or binge watching a series. Could you explain those terms, Sarah?
Sure. Catching up on means watching episodes you've missed. For example, I'm catching up on the latest season of that crime drama. Binge watching means watching multiple episodes in one sitting. Like, I binge watched the entire series over the weekend.
Some people prefer quieter activities like curling up with a good book, which creates this cozy image of getting comfortable in a chair or bed while reading.
I love that expression. Another common evening activity is browsing social media or scrolling through posts. Some people describe this as going down a rabbit hole when they get lost in interesting content online.
Now let's move on to preparing for bed. There are so many useful phrases here. We often talk about a bedtime routine or nighttime ritual, which refers to the regular activities we do before sleep.
That's right. Common elements of a bedtime routine include washing up, brushing your teeth, taking off your makeup, and putting on pajamas or changing into nightwear.
I also sometimes set out clothes for tomorrow or pack my bag for the next day. And many people like to set an alarm before bed.
Let's not forget turning down the bed, which means pulling back the covers to prepare for sleeping. And some people fluff their pillows to make them more comfortable.
Great additions. Now, what about those phrases that describe how we actually go to sleep?
Well, the most common phrases are going to bed or turning in. But there are more colorful expressions like hitting the hay or calling it a night.
Don't forget crashing when you're extremely tired. As in, I was so exhausted, I crashed as soon as I got home.
And dozing off or nodding off describe falling asleep unintentionally, like when you're reading or watching TV and suddenly you realize you've been dozing off.
Some people might say they're going to catch some Z's, a playful way of saying they're going to sleep, referring to the Z sound often used in comics to represent sleeping.
I also like turn in early when you go to bed sooner than usual, or pull an all-nighter when you stay up all night, though that's not recommended for a healthy sleep routine.
Speaking of healthy sleep routines, there are phrases like winding down that describe preparing your mind and body for sleep. As in, I spend 30 minutes winding down before bed.
And powering down or unplugging, which often refers specifically to turning off electronic devices before bed. I always unplug an hour before bedtime to help me sleep better.
Some people practice mindfulness or meditation before bed, saying they clear their mind or practice breathing exercises.
And don't forget the phrase getting a good night's sleep or sleeping like a log when you sleep deeply and well.
On the flip side, if you didn't sleep well, you might say you tossed and turned or had a restless night.
Or that you were wide awake or couldn't sleep a wink if you had insomnia.
Let's wrap up with a quick review of some key phrases we've covered today. We talked about transitional phrases like calling it a day and wrapping up.
We discussed evening activities like unwinding, whipping up dinner, and catching up on TV shows.
And we covered bedtime expressions like turning in, hitting the hay, and winding down.
I hope these phrases will be useful for our listeners in describing their own evening routines in English.
Before we go, here's a little homework. Try to use at least 3 of these phrases in conversation this week. And maybe share your own evening routine in English with a friend or language partner.
That's a great suggestion, David. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please remember to subscribe to Learn and Success on your favorite podcast platform.
Next week, we'll be discussing morning routines and all the vocabulary that goes with starting your day. Until then, sleep well and sweet dreams.
Thanks for listening, everyone. This is Sarah.
And David, signing off. Good night.